pornography, or more importantly, pornographers have to distribute to 18 plus crowds. But it is weird how they don't seem to do that. I mean, I remember back in the day, you had to like click the I agree thing to like, you had to agree that you're 18. I don't think you have to do that anymore. So there were some sites back when I was definitely under 18 that I mean, like, look, it was a long time ago. But you had to like, they tried to use your credit card number, and if you clicked like no, it would take you to Disney.com. It was like a funny joke or whatever. But I don't think that exists anymore. But now, if you're in Louisiana and you try to go to Pornhub, according to screenshots, I haven't checked. I haven't gone to Louisiana to go to Pornhub to check it out, but I'll take their word for it. That it says if you have to do some sort of secondary age verification. I don't know what that is. But just with excluding the preemption issue, just as a procedure or like as a conceptual thing, how do you feel about this sort of law? I can go first because it's kind of a weird topic.
I go first.
Yeah, I fully agree with restricting pornographic imagery to 18 plus. Like, I have no problem with that restriction. I think it's an appropriate time play or manner restriction on what I would consider free speech. So it's not a ban of pornography. It's just like, okay, well, we want to shield kids from this. And the government passing the level of scrutiny needed to do so, and saying 18 plus is a fine age. I have no problem with this. I don't want minors looking at pornography. I would prefer nobody. But that being said, I have a problem with it because you subvert the law essentially via VPN. Like, you just VPN to Texas, and then you can go to the website without issue. So that makes it basically useless. But now it's costing private businesses, which are gross businesses, sure, but they are still private industries, and now they have to pay to upkeep regulations in a certain state to do essentially what's already being done, as you pointed out, by the federal government, and it's completely ineffective. That's the thing I hate. It looks like a giant virtue signal from the Louisiana government.
I think that you're right on the last part. It's a virtue signal. It's Louisiana state government, the legislature wants to get bonus points. They want to run on something. I can't see this surviving preemption at all in any argument, because the feds have basically demonstrated they are regulating in all of this space. And the other thing is, it's kind of a test, it's a dare to anybody that's one of these commercial enterprises. It says, okay, well, you show up here and you make the argument for why you should. What is your argument for
why you should?
What are you going to say?
Sure
what are you
you're
going to say?
Not giving
like,
it to kids.
Yeah, exactly. What are you going to say? Like, people under 18, they shouldn't have to. They shouldn't. They're being excluded from this market unfairly. No, that's the dumbest. It's the same reason why the adultery statutes are still on the books in Virginia. Like, no one wants to make that argument in front of the legislature.
Yeah. Well, right. It'd be like if they came up with some alternative way to check age for alcohol. And so that, like there was a blood prick that they could do that would somehow test your age. I know this doesn't really exist, but hypothetically. And so then they said, like, one state was like, well, we want all our bars to do the blood prick test in addition to carding, like, to make sure they don't have a fake ID. And then that's the dare for the one bar to be like, no, we don't want to check and make sure it's not a minor or under 21. We don't want to make sure we're not giving alcohol to the wrong people. It's like, oh, well, why don't you? It's like, yeah, it's the very unpopular appearing in front of Congress to defend your legitimate business that may be unpopular.
Oh, Ian makes a good point in the chat too.
Government tracking.
It's government tracking. And you're right. If people are messing with their IP addresses, and now you can geolocate IP in a specific state and ages, and yeah, that's there's a lot of privacy concerns there.
Yeah, so it's a weird thing. I mean, this wasn't a topic for the show. I had another lawyer on, and I was like, oh, I'd like to get some more thoughts. It's a really interesting thing, because the immediate response is, well, why wouldn't we? So why would we care if they're having to verify their age? But as it turns out, the why would we care question, no matter what context it's in, always becomes relevant. Well, why
That is-
would we, or why should we care? We should maybe care about this because every time the government does anything, you have a couple things. You have tracking and privacy concerns, and then the other thing that you always have, and this is my thing, is that every law passed potentially ends with one way or another. No matter how mundane the law is, if there is any enforcement mechanism at all, it ends in a bullet at its logical conclusion. Someone resists arrest somewhere, and somebody else gets shot. So.
Yeah, and it's the point basically that's made that essentially says, if you are walking into a question or into a debate, and the person on the other side is saying, well, it's not that bad. Why would you care? It's not that hard. It's nothing to you. You should be doubly dubious, like 100%. Because they're opening the door. That's all they want to do. They want to open the door. Once the door is open, it's like party time. Here we go.
Well, right, and to go back to my stupid fake hypothetical of, well, why wouldn't we want a blood prick test to make sure this person's 21? It's like, well, now they've kept records of blood that can be taken from a third party that's kept in the course of business, doesn't need a warrant, just needs a polite request from the police, and they can grab that, and then now they've got DNA attached to some test that they could theoretically use for some other thing. It wasn't the Idaho killer, right? I saw an article the other day. They tracked him down due to an Ancestry.com DNA test, third-party DNA test.
There's a new report on that out tonight. There might be the feds FBI may have, and I haven't seen confirmation of this yet, but the FBI may have instructed police officers to pull a car over.
Ooh.
Which, because the FBI may have instructed police officers to pull the car over because they may have wanted to see, via body cam footage, when the pullover happened, the hands, the vehicle, the inside of the vehicle as it was riding in. Pretext.
That's a problem.
That
problem's gonna be swept under the rug the first serial killer though. They're just gonna bypass that one.
But this is the problem. You can't make laws based on the worst of circumstances. You cannot.
No, but we do.
I know we do. I know, and it's the same thing. You take the argument you're talking about, the spicy content. Now apply that to what people do with the guns, the 2A argument of registering. Why do you care? All you're doing is putting your name. You own it. It's not a problem. You put a name on a card and you file it with the court. Not a problem.
No big deal.
Not a problem. No big deal.
They'll even make it
now
free for you. The state will pay for it.
And then if they ever want to pass a law that says we're going to repossess or take them, we have a database of names now because 10 years ago we passed a law that you guys didn't care about that said you put your names on a piece of paper and file it in court.
And you don't even have to. Actually, that'll be on the distributor. The distributor will collect every name, or all of the names, and then they'll update that list every 30 days with ATF or whatever. And it's crazy. That's the that's how all of this goes. It's all, and it goes back to cats, and where all of this started to me is the Cats case, KPT. That was a guy who he was on a payphone, and they wiretapped the payphone without a warrant. And it was like, well, too bad he's in public, basically. Like they could wiretap his payphone, and it goes from I'm probably bastardizing the case, but the Cats line of cases goes through starting with that wiretap of the payphone, and then PIN registers on your home phones, and then your bank accounts being third-party records that can be taken by the government without warrants. All of this stuff, it was all just this incremental thing because every time they were catching a bad guy, all of these cases, it's a bad guy doing a bad thing at the end of the day, and so it's like, well, but we're okay with that. It's like when they've got a mountain of cocaine that they've just seized from some from a truck, and like they pulled over the truck illegally, and they're like, but we do have this mountain of cocaine, and we really want to get this cocaine dealer locked up, and they just kind of look the other way on the Fourth Amendment issue.
But it's never that case. It's never that case. It's never that case. It's the next one. And not even the next one. It's the one 10 years from now.
Right.
Like,
that's when it's bad. That's when it's bad. Oh, it's insane. Take that. He sent a super chat with no message. I think YouTube probably censored it. Sorry, brother. But then he did a follow-up one. that says, pray for my family. Daughter's fighting the last year. New Year's, more family involved. 5 grandchildren involved. My head hurts. No drink needed. Just prayers it gets better. Take that. It will get better, brother.